How is everybody doing today? Welcome to another Orange Nomad TV episode number 2. If you're just joining us, say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let's get all that fun stuff out of the way. Make sure all of the technical stuff is working before we get into the good stuff. If you are just joining us for the very first time on Orange Nomad TV, drop that in the comments for me as well. Let us know where you're tuning in from, whether or not this is your first time joining the stream, or if you're a repeat guest. We love repeat guests, repeat viewers. That's what it's all about, is bringing value to the MSP channel, which I have dedicated my life to for the last 30 years. I've been in the tech business, so that is what Orange Nomad TV was created for. It was created for us to solve the number one problem that every IT provider has had almost since the beginning of time, and that is marketing. So let's jump right into it. If you're just joining us, I see some folks over in LinkedIn land. Say hello in the chat. Let us know you're here. Those of you tuning in on YouTube live as well, let us know you're here. If you happen to be watching this on a replay, that is awesome too. I know a lot of people watch this either Friday or Saturday. But we love our viewers that watch the replays as well. So let's dive right in. Again, this is episode number 2. If you missed last week's episode, you'll want to go back and grab that. So just to kind of give you a lay of the land, this is a formatted segment show. So we're going to go through the different segments. We're going to be building something together. You're going to see my fine handwriting here in a little bit. We're going to sketch out what the framework that changes everything is all about. And for me, I am a systems and process person. So everything that I do has to have a systems and process around it, or my brain can't function. Now, I started out as an IT provider, so I am not a marketing person by trade. I was a IT provider that learned marketing the hard way. And that's spending all of your hard-earned cash doing stuff that never seems to work, because we like the tech stuff. I get the tech stuff. I know how to fix things. But it was always just a misnomer for me. And if that's the same for you, let me know in the chat whether or not you think that is something that you struggle with as well. I'm just flipping a few things around here so I can get the prompter working, all that good fun stuff, so we can actually time this out. But if you struggled with marketing, let me know in the chat. I know I'm not the only one, but for me, I think in systems, process, and specifically frameworks, like step-by-step thing where I can go from A to B. That's going to walk me through. Having a roadmap is always, again, it's beneficial for my brain, especially as I get older. So let's jump right in. So the very first segment that we rolled out last week is our Founder on Fire. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about Dave, who ran an MSP for 9 years. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what struggles he went through and see if any of this resonates with you as we go through this. Now, Dave had been in business. He's been in business for 9 years now. He's got a good reputation, strong retention rate. He doesn't lose clients. He knows how to keep clients. He has the kind of referral base that comes from doing that solid work for a long time. But then about 9 months ago, Dave decided he wanted to grow. He started running ads, nothing too aggressive, just some Google ads, a little bit of LinkedIn. He hired somebody part-time to post for him 3 times a week. He started following up with old contacts, chasing introductions, attending networking events, all the stuff. He did it all at the same time. And he started the process 9 months ago, but for 6 straight months, those are the things he was doing. But at the end of the 6 months, he looked down and he had spent $4,000. He realized he had two new clients in that time frame, but he had no idea which of the activities had actually produced that result. But being the go-getter that we all are, he couldn't stop any of it because stopping felt like giving up to him. He couldn't double down on what was working because he didn't know what was working. And I've been in that exact same situation where you put out a lot of effort. That's the natural inclination we have as entrepreneurs, as founders, that we want to do a lot of stuff because something's going to pay off. But then when something does work, we don't know what we did that actually made things work. So let's talk about that. That wasn't a marketing problem. He was doing all of the things, all of the marketing activities. The thing was, it's a sequence problem. He wasn't doing the wrong things. He was doing month 3 activities. And you'll see that as we build that out here in a little bit. He was doing month 3 activities before he had finished month 1, before he had finished stage A of my framework. Everything downstream of that decision was built on a foundation that didn't exist yet. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to break down what that foundation should look like. And hopefully you're taking notes, because I'm going to be taking notes with you as well. We're going to build something live here in a second. So let's break down the problem. Let's dissect it and really go through what the 3 C's map is. We're going to talk about the problem of random marketing. And then we're going to talk about the stages: collect leads, convert sales, create fans. And then we're going to reframe and we're going to call back on Dave. We're going to tune in to what Dave actually went through. So let's break it down. Most MSP owners like me, I did the same thing. We approach marketing the same way we approach learning IT. We pick up a skill, we try it out, we see if it works, and then we move on. And that works for technology, but unfortunately it breaks for marketing. Because marketing isn't a set of disconnected skills. It's a system. And systems have an order. They have process. And when you don't follow the order, you get the situation like Dave was in. You're spending money, you're generating activity, but nothing is helping you connect the dots. A new prospect finds you on a LinkedIn post, clicks through to your website, lands on a page that doesn't speak to them. You run an ad to a landing page that has a no follow-up sequence with it. You collect a business card at an event and have no structure of what happens next. The activity isn't the problem. The architecture is. So let's talk about what that architecture actually looks like. And as I mentioned, I have a framework. I call it my 3 C's framework, and we've talked about it. Collect leads, convert clients, create fans. So it's 3 stages, A, B, and C, 9 steps. And each step actually builds on the last one that you completed before it. In sequence, it works. But out of sequence, it doesn't work. And let me show you what it looks like as we go through here. The first stage, everybody, if I had $1 for every time I've said the words, I need more leads, or I've been on a coaching call with somebody who says that to me, I would probably have my own private island somewhere. We probably wouldn't be on this live stream together. But collecting leads is the very first thing. We have to have leads in order to put them through our marketing system. So in month 1, these are the 3 steps you want to accomplish. And we're going to talk about them. 1 is be the signal. And what I'm talking about by that, there's a lot of noise out there. We need to be the signal where our potential clients, people that we want to bring on as clients, can hear that signal, they can see the signal. Before you can collect leads, someone has to know you exist. Not just that you're an MSP, but you're the MSP for a specific type of client with a specific problem. The signal is your positioning. Most MSPs skip this step. They go straight to tactics. They start posting before they've decided what they stand for. Step 2 is getting the double take. Once you have that signal, people need to see it. Your LinkedIn profile, your website, your Google business profile. The double take is about stopping people from scrolling wherever they happen to be. It's making someone think, hey, this is different. this person actually understands what I'm going through. This person gets me. Step number 3 is hook and convert. Once you get somebody to pause in that scroll process, you need a reason for them to take a next step. You need we call that marketing it's called a lead magnet. And it's an offer to start a conversation. Something that's specific enough to be worth their contact details. Simply just their name and email address. So 3 steps the first month. The whole job of stage A is to build a pipeline of people who know who you are and why you're worth the time. If you haven't finished stage A, if we don't get that running, we really don't have any business running ads. We're going to blow through money. And if you've been in that situation, drop that for me in the comments. Looks like we do have a couple more folks joining us over in LinkedIn land. Say hello if you're just joining us. We appreciate those of you who are joining us live. Just make sure we're all working there. But yes, if you have questions as we go through here as well, drop those in the chat for me as well so that I can answer questions. I have the inbox at the end, but type the letter Q : in your question, and I will make sure we flag those for chat. All right, so we've got month 1. We've got that down. So that's what we have to hone in on. If you're been in business for any length of time and you have no pipeline, no email list, no real marketing going, that's where you need to start, is right here. Be the signal, get the double take, and hook and convert them. Have a reason for them to take the next step with you. Now let's go to month 2. What does that look like? Again, our brains think in terms of 3. You think about all of the rule of thirds. You think about slogans, good, better, best, snap, crackle, pop, the 3 musketeers. Everything is around our brain's ability to think in 3s. So that's why I do everything 3 stages, 3 steps for each stage. So month 2, that is where we have 3 more steps to do. Step 4 is light the spark. We may start getting leads now, but we need to stay in front of them. If you've got leads that may not be ready to buy quite yet, we've got to stay in front of them long enough in a way that builds trust without being annoying. So think email nurture sequences, consistent touch points along the way that demonstrate we understand their problem before they've asked you to solve it. That is what step number 4 is meant to do. Step number 5 is serve the good stuff. Trust is built through value. This is where educational content, like I'm doing right here, educational content, workshops, lunch and learns live. Give before you ask. And one of my most profitable marketing oil wells, whatever you want to call it, marketing platform, marketing system was lunch and learns. In-person events where I could teach, add value way before I ask anything of my audience. And that's where you build that know, like, and trust. But now we're to the point where, hey, live streaming, webinars, things like that, that is a great way to build know, like, and trust. When they can see you sitting across the screen, they feel like they start to know you. That changes the conversation dramatically. The MSPs who are closing fastest right now are the ones who've already answered 6 of the prospect's questions before the first sales call. The quote unquote sales call is different. It's not a sales call. It's more like step number 6, which is win the yes, getting the close. Not in the way that we all think about closing, that hard salesy thing. By step number 6, if steps 4 and 5 are working, the close isn't a pitch. It's a confirmation. Hey, I already know we want to work. We want to work with you. We just need to figure out the logistics. It's a logistics problem at that point. The prospect trusts you enough to sign way before a push, quote unquote, sales process starts. But only the leads you collected properly in stage A. That's, again, skipping steps doesn't make this work. That's why skipping ahead doesn't always pay. You can't go straight to the tactics. All right, so now let's look at, we've covered month 1, month 2, stage A, stage B. Now let's go to month 3. This is about creating fans, people who actually become customers. If you are in business and have been in business for any length of time, this is a great way. We all rely on referrals. This is where we do that and put systems and process around it. Step number 7 is deliver and dazzle. That's your onboarding experience. That turns a new client into a raving fan. So do you have things in your onboarding experience that are totally different than what other MSPs are putting out? And think about this. Your clients have probably had 1, 2, or 3 MSPs already. I started as an MSP in 2004. So by now in 2026, they've likely been onboarded a couple times with a couple MSPs at least. So think about your onboarding process. Are there things in there that create raving fans? Step number 8 is sticking the landing. That's where our service. We're all great at what we do. We're all great at the technology. We're all great at keeping things running. And retention and client success, that's where it's about. That's the work that keeps people long enough to become fans. Step number 9 is turning those fans into fuel. This is your referral engine. This is reviews, case studies, the people who grow your business without you having to ask. But building a process and a system around that is key. So again, 9 steps, 3 months in order. That's the 3 C's marketing framework. And again, just as a quick recap as we look at this, and I told you we would circle back and talk about Dave. Here's the thing Dave got wrong. He was doing all 9 steps. He just wasn't doing them in order. He was working on step number 9, which was chasing referrals without a clear process. Without having step number 1 is a clear signal, so that those referrals see that signal and say, hey, yes, that's the person we want to do business with. So referrals land in a weak position if we haven't done step number 1, which is creating a valuable signal. He was running step number 3 ads before step 2 visibility was solid. So he's driving ads, driving traffic to a site that couldn't convert. Dave wasn't lazy. He's not stupid. He's a super smart guy. He was doing the right activities in the wrong sequence. And once he stopped everything, mapped out his activity to the framework, then he identified where stage A was incomplete, what gaps he had. Everything changed at that point. Dave said, I actually get it. I actually understand that the things I'm doing have a purpose and have a sequence. Because he fixed the order, that was really what gave him peace. That's really what allowed him to finally see that, hey, this marketing stuff actually works. When we get the order right, and that's when the tactics actually start to work. But if we do all the tactics first, that's when we're doomed for failure. I've been there, spent well in excess of 6 figures, trying this, throwing things against the wall, see what sticks. And after 7-8 years of doing that, then I figured, hey, when the referrals dried up in 2008, when I was running my business, that's when I had to decide, hey, I probably ought to get good, or at least understand this marketing stuff. So that's what we're building this season. Every episode is going to we're going to talk about and really drill into the marketing framework. We're going to go through all 9 steps in order, with enough depth to actually execute. And that's what I want to do. That's what I love, being able to help people execute. Because you could learn all of this stuff. We could take courses, download ebooks till we're blue in the face. But if we haven't, I'm going to switch over here. If we don't have the systems in place, we're doomed. So this is a segment just as a segue before we get into building stuff. Just wanted to say hello to anybody who's joined us in chat. Love to have the folks over on YouTube and LinkedIn. We are streaming live on both platforms. If you're here, say hello in the chat. Love to hear from you. If you've got questions, drop those in as well. But we're going to have future segments, looking for sponsors for the show. So if you want to get in front of an audience of, I've got 17,000 plus MSPs here on LinkedIn, almost 2,000 on YouTube, working on that. I'd definitely love to talk. If you want to be on the show to cover a segment, we can break down any issues that you have live. I'd love to do that as well. So I'm going to take a quick drink and we're going to get into the build section. We're going to build some stuff together. This is the fun part of the show for me. I love building stuff, and I want you to be able to see and really hone in on this part of the show and take notes, ask questions. This is where I'm going to break everything down. We're going to do some show and tell. We're going to do arts and crafts time, digital style. So I'm going to take a quick drink here. You'll see what we've got here in a second. I'm going to move some things around. So I'm going to go to the iPad and we're going to do some drawing together. I love that skit from Saturday Night Live. My name is Simon and I like to do drawings. We're going to do some drawings today. So let's get into it. So let's look at what the framework actually is. So again, we talked about stage A. So stage A is collecting leads. So that's stage A. We've got to get leads coming in the door. All right, so now we go ahead and switch colors here. Actually, let's zoom in and go. All right, I think we're there. Collect leads. That's the first thing. All right. My apologies ahead of time since we're drawing live. All right, so collecting leads, we need to have a target. We need to know who we're actually looking for and how they find us. So we've got to have a target. And that is the step here. That is the be the signal. So that's step one. So add an order here. So, all right. So step one, my OCD's taken off. So, all right. Step one, be the signal. And what things do we need to do in this segment here? This is what we're going to do is break down like what activities, what things you should actually do in each one of these. And hopefully this helps you really see what marketing is supposed to look like. And again, it's taken me the last decade to really get this dialed in. All right, so that's be the signal. So now we're going to look at what activities do we need to accomplish in this. And this is where, let's change colors here. Go back to white. This is where we need to pick a niche or have a vertical market. And what this is, you need to have a specific customer base, whether that's attorneys in the state of Ohio, whether that's dentist practices in West Virginia, like wherever that happens to be, whatever your target market is. That's really what we're talking about. I resisted this for the longest time, and this was one of the biggest things that really prevented me from getting marketing done in a decent way. Diana Giles, welcome to the show. Good to have you back. I don't think we've connected in a long time. Good to reconnect here. We're doing picture pages, Diana, if you haven't figured that out. So that vertical market, then when we have that, then we need to come up with what it's called different things. For me, who is my perfect customer? So that is the perfect customer profile. And they call it different things. Like for me, that's PCP, not the drug. Ideal customer profile, you've seen that. You'll see me kind of interchange those two things. You need to have a vertical market and then a profile for that market. And what is, our perfect customer? What do they look like? What things make them tick? What things are they into? What things do they hate? So that's where the demographics is basically who they are, where they are. So that's the who they are. Again, just having a general idea of who our customers are, how old they are, do they have family, like, where do they live? Do they live in suburban areas? Are they college educated? That's demographics. The psychographics, and again, I get into all these. Let's see if I can spell it right. The psychographics, that's the stuff are they into. What channels do they follow? What books do they read? What authors do they read? Like, what I was into pens. So I had clients that were into, I started seeing magazines of Levenger. If you've done any type of writing and stationery and pens, like that got me into, pens and stuff like that. That is the psychographics. What things are they into? What things excite them? What hobbies do they have? Again, we don't have to have everything figured out in the beginning. But you see, we're building that profile so we know how to properly look for them. Then we also want to think about what things drive them nuts. What are their pain points? What are the things that keep them up at 3 a.m.? If they're a business owner, what things drive them crazy? And it's not the right-click menu on my mouse. I've seen some cotton candy marketing this week, so that's not going to keep a business owner up at night. All right, so pain points. What are their goals and aspirations? And again, it might take you some time to collect this data, and that's okay. That's okay. But knowing what activities go with collecting leads and step number one. So that's basically in a nutshell for Be This Signal. We have to know what signal we're putting out so that it fits our target market. All right, now let's go into the second part of it. I don't draw on the iPad too often. Oh, that's terrible. There's the undo button. I keep moving stuff here in GoodNotes. All right, let's try this again. Second thing we're going to look for. Hey, I made a box. All right. All right, second thing we're looking at is how do we attract them? So who they are, how do we attract them? That's the part of getting the double take. That's step 2. All right, that's step 2. So think about it. As we're developing the signal, what does that signal look like? This is where your branding comes in. This is where your branding and messaging come in. This is, think about your logo. Does it look like a clip art from 1986? Your colors. This is, the things on your LinkedIn profile. And once you have that, so we got a personal or perfect customer profile. I have, okay, when we found all of those things, what is the perfect customer message? Again, we're talking to the things that keep them up at 3 a.m. So once we have our branding, our logo, those things dialed in, they go to your LinkedIn website, they see real people doing real stuff, not texts. They see CEOs. We'll get into that in future sessions. So that's our perfect customer message. And then I also I'm going to go yellow here because there's a couple things I have there. So another thing I call that would be a signature solution. What do you deliver? How do you deliver? What is your framework? So think about the framework that I have out here. Swipe that format. Here's how we deliver these results to attorneys. Just to give you a for instance, my perfect customer message was, I help family-owned attorneys in the state of Ohio increase billable hours by 25% in the first 90 days without adding office staff or office space or staff, so they could go home at 5 o'clock. That became my perfect customer message. And that's really, once we got that dialed in, we built a signature solution around it. A signature solution that nobody else could copy. And that is really what we're trying to do, is create something that is not copyable, at least not easily. All right, so let's go back here and keep going. Let's go back to our pen tool here. So we got a perfect customer message. And that perfect customer message needs to have a few things in it. So let's go change back to white. The perfect customer message needs to be specific. Do you notice how I said there? It's specific. We help who? It's measurable. We help them increase billable hours in the first 90 days. So it's measurable. You have a result with a timeline. And again, you're not going to get this the first time out, but this is what you want to be thinking about as you're creating, as you're organizing your marketing. You need to have a specific result that's measurable, and that result needs to have a timeline attached to it. That's when the rubber meets the road. In this part, this is where if you have testimonials, we want to make use of those. Don't let those die on your website. Don't let those die on Google reviews. Don't let those die in LinkedIn recommendations. Those are all testimonials. And the last but not least was Google My Business. Man, I can't type. Let's try this again. Google My Business. So you want to make sure that if you provide local service to people, that you have your Google business page, you have it claimed, and you're actually doing things with it. So that's the things we do in that attract phase. So let me move a few things around so we can keep this all in one page. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. And we're going to go to our third step here. So that's step 1 is target. Step 2 is attract. Step number 3 is capture. We have to have something, some way of capturing the people that are seeing the signal, responding to the signal, but we don't have any way of capturing their information. So I can't tell you how many MSP websites I look at that don't have any means whatsoever other than fill out this form for capturing information. So remember, we talked about having something that's attractive enough for them to want to give their information. And filling out a form doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. So think about that. This is the step here as well that we call This is the hook and convert. See if I can move this a little closer. Now it's the stretch so far. All right, so this is hook and convert. Step number 3. So think about our content. This is where the content that we put out, is it attractive to those people who see the signal? Is it attractive to them? Does it speak to our perfect customer message? Does our marketing speak to our perfect customer message, which we had over here? If it doesn't, that's what we need to look at. So what are some tactics that we have in here? So we have to have some way of capturing an email. If we're doing digital marketing, we have to have some method of capturing email. So whether that's a lead magnet, we're going to get to that in a second. What are some other things? That is the next thing here, is the lead magnets. All right, so I'm going to go select red. So I'm going to come down here. Then we're going to drop this right here. So let's talk about lead magnets for a second. So some of the lead magnets that I see working right now are interactive. They're not download a PDF type thing. So those are, things like cheat sheets. Something that's going to shortcut the process. That could be an AI prompt. Like, just think in terms of that. So I'm going to put AI prompt. An interactive checklist that they can go through, answer questions, and get a customized checklist. So let me move things up here because it looks like it's cutting a little bit off the screen. All right, let's keep going here. Checklist. We talked about, giving them a script. Is there a script that you have that they could follow that's going to shortcut the process for them? Roadmaps. Is there a roadmap to cybersecurity that you could provide them? Are there frameworks? And there's a million of them. If you do cyber, there's all kinds of frameworks and things. Nobody's going to read through a 200-page document. Can you put together a framework that summarizes that 200-page document and saves them 20 minutes, half hour, an hour of their time? That would be worth, collecting my email address and my first name. I would give you that if you could save me an hour of my time. So think about things like that you could provide, where you'd be providing value to them. So some of the other things for lead magnets, ebooks, those are becoming less popular. We'll talk about in a future episode. It just goes into a PDF graveyard. Mini courses work. Again, I'm just giving you ideas. If you have some of these things, a strategy session. I was doing free strategy sessions or paid strategy sessions. Can I get on the phone with you in 30 minutes to an hour and you could shortcut a process for me and make it faster? I would pay money for that. That's valuable to me if I'm your target audience. Quizzes. Just having interactive quizzes where people could go answer some questions and get a grade. I have that on my website right now. If you go to my website, orangenomad.com, and click Start Here, you can grade yourself on how well you're doing with the 3Cs framework, how well you're doing with your marketing. So think about things like that could provide value. All right, switch back here. So we'll keep going. So we've got email, lead magnets, webinars, live streams. Webinars are a great way. It's much more acceptable now post-COVID, where people can watch a webinar. They can get on a live stream like this, interact with you, ask questions. They can interact and see you one-on-one. So webinars are a great way to do that. In-person events. I don't see very many MSPs doing a lot of in-person events. Again, another way to build that know, like, and trust. I'm just going to keep going here. Video, whether that's YouTube, LinkedIn. Everybody was gung-ho about SEO, but that is now being replaced by AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. Tune in next week. We're doing a deep dive on that, on what has changed, and people don't even realize it. So let's see here. This is, as you can see, people start here, with a lot of this stuff in step 3 before they have step number 1 and 2 covered. So your SEO, social media. So social media posts. Prospecting is another one. Joint ventures. I'm gonna move some things around. Make us some more space. All right, so got joint ventures. I've seen people too, an AI chatbot on your website. Great way for people to start getting information. Ads are definitely, but again, if we don't have this first 2 steps done, we're going to probably not, but this is where ads would live to at least allow people to start seeing the signal. Sending out polls, whether that's LinkedIn, doing canvassing. So those are all things that are tactical that fit into step number 3. So, but before we start executing on all of those, we need to have step 1 and step 2 covered before we do that. Because otherwise, like I said, we'll be burning through money and not really know what we're doing with that. So, all right, so that is step 1 is collect leads. So, like I said, this takes some time, and like I said, that's why we have it a month. Get as much of this stuff dialed in month 1 as possible. But like I said, this is what I see so many MSPs, and again, I was guilty of it myself. We skip this part. We skip this part. We don't get this part dialed in. And we wonder why we jump straight to that part and we can't get anything working. We jump straight to trying to get people in a pipeline, trying to get people, but we haven't defined who they are, what they're into, what things drive them crazy. We haven't done all the stuff that's necessary to make step 3 work. If you disagree with me, agree with me. If you're watching this, drop it in the comments as well. I'm going to switch screens here, and we're going to go to stage 2. But drop that in the comments while I take a drink. Let me know you're here. It looks like we do have some more joining us on LinkedIn. If you're just joining us, hello. My name's Andrew Moon. I run Orange Nomad. We're doing some picture pages today. I should have grabbed that jingle. Grab your crayons and your pencils. All right. Turn this down so you can hear me. All right, now we're going to switch gears, and we are going to go to stage 3 is convert clients. That's stage 3. So now we're into the part where we might have some sales conversations going on with people, but we have to have a way of communicating with people who may not be ready yet. Because I think it's less than 1% of any people in your given market are actually ready to change IT providers. And that's pretty much goes across the board with whatever business you're in. Usually less than 1% are actively looking for your services. So we need to have a way of keeping up with them and maintaining that relationship with them before they get to that stage. So, I'm going to go ahead and create 3 boxes here. See if I can get this working. Can't get my copy button to work. All right, we'll move on. I'm just going to do 3 boxes for our 3 steps here. All right, 3 boxes. All right. So now this part is how do we engage them? And this is the part we call lighting the spark. So this is light the spark. So what things should be involved here as we have engagement? And again, if you have things missing, this shows you what you need to work on. So let's talk about this. So actually, let's make this white. We'll keep everything in order. Having a nurture emails. So if you're collecting leads, we have to have a way of communicating with them via email. So having a sequence that keeps them engaged over time. That's what this part's about. And this could be a newsletter. Could be print or digital. Referral contests. And again, I have this in here because you'll see how this fits in with getting referrals engaged and keeping your customers, your current customers, feeding you people just like them, are perfect customers. So we love to have more perfect customers. This is where things like golf outings would live. This is where trade shows would live. This is where, taking those testimonials. So this is testimonial promotion, having posts and things where people have given us testimonials, posting them, making social posts out of those. One that a lot of people hate, but I promise you will bring you way more activity than anything that you do is public speaking. I am an INFJ introvert, so this isn't a natural thing for me to get online. Coming up on 6 years, April 1st, since I started live streaming, and I sucked at it at the beginning. But you get the reps in. I love to teach. I love to help people. So this is a great way to do it. So public speaking, this is, again, where webinars could live, where you're engaging people, that you're inviting people who may have filled out a lead magnet, downloaded something, where you're now engaging with them. Webinars are a great way to do that. One that I skipped on was unconverted leads. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to write this out first. Unconverted leads. Those were folks who you may have proposed your services to that may have chosen not to go with you at the time. They may have chosen a different provider. They may just not have been ready. But having a system in place to regularly communicate and engage with those folks, having that on this list, knowing that there's a process around it and that I should be thinking about them. This is where direct mail would live. Whether that's postcards or mailers, whatever. So I go direct mail. We'll just put postcards because two different things. Postcards are relatively inexpensive. Direct mail could be flyers, letters, things like that. So that is like the spark. As we're trying to convert clients, these are the things that make the sales process go much better. It's not really a sales process at that point. So now we get into our actual offer. And again, over the next 12 weeks, we're going to build this stuff out live, but I wanted to cover the high points here. This is the serve the good stuff. Switch colors here. So this is where things like lunch and learn events are a great way to close people from the room. Having an offer at the end, whether that's a, hey, we'll come in and consult with you for 30 minutes, give you a 90-day action plan. You can do that in a lunch and learn. Super easy way to convert. I'm going to put webinars down there too, because webinars, this is again, you're making an offer. You have the ability to make an offer during those events. This is where things like expos, trade shows. So you see how, these things can live in multiple buckets. They can live in the engage, but you can also have an offer attached to certain things. Joint ventures. That's basically, a lot of people ask me what joint ventures are. Are there people that serve, like attorneys and property management companies were my bread and butter? Are there other vendors like me out there that provide services to my perfect customers? So it behooves me to try to make friends with those people so we can make our perfect customers together, their lives better. So partnering up and doing joint ventures for lunch and learns, webinars, trade shows, that's where those things live. Those are great ways to continue. Your joint venture folks actually become salespeople for you. So think about that. Again, we're going to be doing different follow-up on that. Private strategy sessions, one-on-one strategy sessions where you can help build a 90-day plan. We do that. But offering to get on a call, walk somebody through, hey, this is what you need to do in the next 90 days, whether you choose us or not. These are the things you need to do. So let's get to the last part. So let me move this over so we'll keep everything in line. So this is where the close actually, and again, this is not the traditional close where you think of the high pressure sales bro stuff that goes on here. This is the part where we win the yes. And if we've done the majority of the steps, we've done well at the first 5 steps, this process becomes so different. It's actually what I call the stress-free sales process. Because again, everything becomes about logistics at that point. They already know they want to work with you. Stress-free sales process. And what things add to a stress-free sales process? One, having a process, but making your contracts simple. And again, I'm talking if you're in the MSP game, having a contract and having an MSA are two different things. But having a letter of intent that they sign when you have having those things in there make this close process much faster. Digital signatures. And again, that could be PandoDoc. It could be Adobe Sign or whatever Adobe's calling it these days. But making the whole process of closing sales easy. Having things like digital payments. And I'll get in arguments till my dying breath about the 3% fee that you pay for having credit cards. Add it to the cost of your, not the cost. Tack on 3% to whatever your managed service contract is. 3% minus 3% is 0. So, but you're making this sales process easy for the customer. So you can easily add on the 3% in the proposal process to whatever you want to charge. So just a thought. I mentioned having a letter of intent. I was actually introduced to this concept by a fellow MSP back in 2012. And when we started doing this, when we're in the proposal process with people and when they are nodding up and down that they say yes, having a letter of intent, just like a college letter of intent, they're giving their intent that we are going to work together. So you agree on the general scope and terms and get them to sign off on it in that process before we get the contracts out. Because people have buyer's remorse. So we're trying to end all of that. I'm trying to gauge whether or not somebody has other things that they're thinking about. Are there objections that haven't come out yet? That part of the process makes a stress-free sales process. So I'm going to move this up because it's cutting off on the camera. And let's see here. The last one is having a guarantee. Do you guarantee your services? So those are all three things. This is engage, offer, and close. This is convert clients stage. If you're just joining us, we're actually doing some picture pages. I'm drawing some stuff out. I'm drawing our 3Cs framework. This will be available on the records, or as soon as we go offline. This live session will be available to rewatch. And if you happen to be watching that on a replay, we appreciate you. We're going to go to stage C here in a second. But before I do, let me go to the chat, see if there's any questions to answer real quick here. If you're just joining us, say hello in the chat. Let me know you're here. I always like to say hello to people who join us live. I think I misspelled guarantee, so that's why we have spell check. All right. So now let's go to the last stage is create fans. How do we do that? How do we create fans? So let's go ahead and create some boxes first. As you can see, I'm not a great artiste. So anyway, so let's look at what does that look like? So this is the delivery. And this is what I affectionately call the deliver and dazzle. What can you do in the onboarding process to make a wow experience for people who just onboarded with your services? So having a process for that onboarding, and it needs to be a formal, documented process that you follow every single time. Your TBR, whatever you call that, technology business review, whether you call that a QBR, having a process where you're delivering the results that you actually promised that you were going to deliver. I call that a BAR, a business acceleration review, whatever term you're going with it. But having a process where you systematically make sure that we're delivering it and dazzling everybody who's writing us a check. All right, now we'll talk about service delivery. And we all know, what can you do to make the service delivery better? So think about, we all like, our ideal process is email tickets. But let's face it, people change. People's use of technology changes. Are we adapting? Are we changing with it? Are there things we can adopt in our service delivery process to make it easier for people to recommend us? This is where, depending on what systems you're in, having a technology account manager. Some people call that virtual CIO. Let's see here. Having a welcome kit. That's one of the things we started doing. We had a welcome kit. I had cupcakes made. Big surprise. They were orange flavor, white icing, orange logo on the top. So anybody who onboarded with us during our welcome presentation, yes, we would do that live with all of their staff. On day one, we would make it an event We would have a welcome kit. We had little bags of goodies for every single one of their staff members. We made it an ordeal. We made it something that they would never forget. That's easy to do now. Like, it's even easier to do now. And that's why I'm going to put this one on here, having an in-person kickoff. And not just you as the CEO, the techs that are going to be working on that account. It's a great thing if the techs working on the account get to meet the people that they're going to be helping, and vice versa. That makes things different. That is a wow experience that not many people here 20 years into the MSP industry are doing yet. So think about it. All right, so now let's go to the second one. You know, some of these you think kind of merge together, but they don't. So let me switch gears to switch colors. This is what I call stick the landing. What things live inside of stick the landing? This would be, bonus gifts. This could be at certain times of year, like when they come up on their contract renewal, contract anniversary. Concierge services. Those are things that we used to do that still to this day, most MSPs won't do. We would actually go to the Apple store, the Verizon store, AT&T, when the new iPhones came out. And yes, I don't care if you hate Macs. How many of your CEOs that you do business with are walking around with iPhones? But I'm not going to start that. Not going to start that fight. But it was a problem that we started hearing over and over and over again from our customers. They wanted the new iPhone, but they didn't want to go stand in line for 2 hours and have the person there trying to sell them stuff the whole time. So we took care of that process for them. Because let's face it, iPhones only come out once a year. That was part of our concierge service for our top level managed service contracts. Could we offer them a surprise service or product? Maybe that's something we're coming out with, and we just give it to people for free just because it's the right thing to do. Like, those are things. Let's see here. Advisory board would be another one. Helping them steer the services that you offer. Training sessions. So in addition to our quarterly lunch and learns, we would do training sessions on how to use Microsoft Office, like whatever it is. We provided that because they're looking to us for guidance. So things like handwritten notes. Those things stand out like we're doing right here when they see your handwriting. Handwritten notes and thank yous. Giving them early access to products or services that you're getting ready to launch. Maybe having a private online community where they could network with other CEOs. Again, those are all things we can think about that impress people. All right, so now we get to the last one. So we're almost done. If you're just joining us, let us know that you're here. We appreciate it. So now we get into multiply. How do we get those customers? How do we turn fans into fuel? And this is where referrals live. Having a process of asking for referrals. Knowing when to ask for referrals. Repeat buyers. So I wanted to always make sure that everything we sold, every single one of our customers was signed up for everything that we sold. So that's where the upsell and cross-sell process happens. But again, having a process, knowing where it lives, gathering testimonials. That's where this process lives, where when you get people to this point, they want to offer case studies. They want other people to know about you and the awesome service they're getting. Let's see here. Referral contest. Again, it could live here. I've got it. We did that back in a couple steps, but this is where it could live for new customers. You know, they come on with you 90 days, have a contest. We gave away an iPad for people who refer business to us, and you give them the guidelines. Our ideal customers look like this. Do the exact same thing for them. We had a customer actually take our idea and do it themselves. They loved it. So think about that. So client appreciation events. All like those would live here. Vendor discounts. That was another one. Do you have connections with vendors that they do business with where you might be able to get them a discount? Where because of being a customer with you that they're able to benefit. One of the things I had was cleaning businesses who clean for law firms. I had one that was in most of my clients, and he got most of his business because of my referrals, and I was able to offer a discount to my customers for his service. So what things could you offer that are benefit to your customers, don't cost you anything, and provide a tremendous amount of goodwill? Think about those things. Now I'm going to go back to testimonials real quick and highlight a couple things on testimonials. These are not just testimonials that sit vacant and they don't do anything. These testimonials could be Google reviews, but don't let them die over on your Google business page. This could be LinkedIn recommendations. Those are testimonials. Website testimonials. You might be sitting on some testimonials you have on your website. Make sure that they're on your Google reviews. Make sure that you have LinkedIn recommendations. If you have video testimonials, those should be all over your social media on a regular basis. So it's not just a written testimonial that lives in one place and then goes to a testimonial graveyard and never comes out again. That needs to be part of your marketing process as you go through that. So we're done with picture pages. Hopefully you found this helpful in the build process. So like I said, this is recorded, so you can feel free. We went a little long on this segment. I think I normally only have 20 minutes. We're at 46 minutes just on that stage. But I wanted to make sure we provided as much value as I possibly could to this process of building out what the 3Cs framework is. So when you think about all of the things that you do for marketing, having them organized in a place and knowing what things go with what part of the process was super helpful to me. And it was super helpful to the clients, people that I've been coaching. When they're able to get through that, Dave dramatically improved his peace of mind because he finally knew how to go about tackling marketing and do it in a systematic way, a way that finally made sense for our tech brains. So, all right, let's switch over to the inbox as we come and land this plane. We're over the top of the hour, but I have a couple questions that came in. If you've got questions, you're just joining us live, drop those in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, drop those in the chat. I do look at every single one of them. I do respond to every single one of them. And who knows, maybe your question could be on the inbox section of next week's show. All right, let's land this plane. Let's go look at our inbox. So one of the questions that came in was, I've been posting on LinkedIn for 8 months. I get likes, but 0 leads. What's wrong? That's a common thing. The likes are stage A activity that stopped at step 1. Again, our signal, they see that we're there. People see you. Maybe they recognize you. Maybe they appreciate your content. That's why we get the likes. But appreciation, let's face it, doesn't convert without the next 2 steps. You need that double take moment, something on your profile or in your future content that makes that person stop and think, this person knows me. this is the person to solve this problem for me. And then you need a hook, a specific reason for them to take the next step instead of just scrolling by or enjoying and just giving you a thumbs up on your content. It's a long game with marketing. Likes without leads usually means your positioning isn't specific enough for that audience, or it just might not be that they're just not ready. I've had some people stalk my LinkedIn profile, watch my live streams for 2 or 3 years, but they were under contract. In 2 or 3 years, they've been watching my content. And they to sit in a sales conversation and they say, I feel like I already know you. We already want to do business with you. Let's work out the logistics. I'll take those sales. Those are just like referrals. There is no sales process. So think about that. So maybe 8 months of posting with 0 leads isn't a posting problem. Maybe we need to look at steps 1 and 3 and then analyze that. So again, just a thought, person who put that in to my inbox. So look at our question number 2. We're generating decent leads from referrals, but we're struggling to close them. What stage is that? That's actually a stage B problem. And specifically, that's step number 5 and 6. You've got a referral pipeline, so that's good. You're creating fans. You're creating people who want to recommend you. But stage A is obviously doing some stuff. Your existing clients think well enough to recommend you. That is real. But the gap happens between the referral introduction and the close. And that's usually, if leads are coming in and not converting, it usually means the process or the prospect is arriving warm, but that trust level just isn't quite there. That trust level to make a decision isn't there yet. So to fix that, look at serve the good stuff. Get something valuable in front of them before the call. Get something invaluable in front of them before a meeting. That could be a relevant case study of somebody just like them. It could be a short breakdown of the problem that you're dealing with and helping them with. Anything that demonstrates that you understand their situation. You need that before you get in the room. And that's really, referrals get you in the room, but stage B, that's what closes the deal. The third question that I got this week is, we tried a few marketing agencies and it never seems to work for MSPs. Why? I kind of answered this in a post this week. Most marketing agencies build stage B and stage C campaigns for MSPs. And they haven't built out stage A. They come in with ad campaigns, email sequences, content calendars, social media posts. All of it is good work. But if the positioning isn't clear, the ads drive traffic to a site that doesn't convert. If the ICP, the ideal customer profile, isn't defined, the email sequences feel generic. If messaging is weak, the content builds followers but not a pipeline. The agency is not always at fault. They're executing on assets that weren't ready to be executed on yet. The fix isn't find a better agency, it's fix stage A first. Get those first 2 things dialed in. Then, if you want to keep your agency around, great. But we need to have those things. That's a lot of things what agencies are kind of skip over that process. They assume that if you're a business owner, you already know all that. So anyway, check the chat for any follow-up questions as we move into our last segment, which is, I always like to impart one thing. What is your one takeaway from this episode? Drop that in the chat for me. Again, if you're watching it on replay, I answer all of those, reply to all of those as well. But I'm going to drop one last thing as we part. Covered a lot with this episode, but one thing before you go. Pull out your phone, open notes, whatever it is, do this right now. Think about your marketing activity from the last 30 days. Everything you've done, whether it's paid or you ask someone else to do it. Ads, social posts, events, referral chases, cold outreach, whatever it was. Now map it to the 3 C's. The capture a lead, convert a sale, create a fan. Go in and look at those things. Are they a stage A activity? Are you working on your signal, your visibility, your lead capture? Is it stage B? Are you nurturing leads, running educational events, running sales conversations? Is it stage C? You're working on onboarding, retention, or referral systems. Write all those things down. One column per stage. Kind of what we did in our picture pages part this week. Put every activity into the column it belongs. And then take a look at the distribution. If you've got nothing in stage A and everything is in stage B and C, that's your answer. That's why your pipeline feels thin. You're trying to convert leads you haven't collected yet. That's this week's move. Again, take you maybe 30 minutes to go through that. Be sure to do that before next Thursday. Next Thursday, we're actually going to open this up and we're going to talk all about Answer Engine. We're going to talk about what AI is doing to search, what AI is doing to, might be killing you. It might be eye-opening. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and cover that in next week's episode. But thank you so much for joining me live. This was episode number 2 of Orange Nomad TV. I appreciate you, those of you tuning in and watching. I think we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. We've been live, but I do this every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully you found some value out of here. Hopefully it was eye-opening. Hopefully my picture pages didn't make you run and scream for the hills. But I appreciate you. Thank you again for tuning in. Next week's episode is going to be a fun one, so you'll definitely want to tune in. If you go to orangenomad.tv, you can actually sign up to reminders you can I have an add to calendar button there for you. And you can also subscribe. But no, I don't put that on a list. That's just so when I post a live stream that's going to be aired, you will actually get email reminders in there. So thanks again. That's going to wrap it for this week for me. I am Orange Nomad, Andrew Moon. I am happy to provide all the value, and hopefully this gets you to the point of solving that problem once and for all, that marketing problem that plagues our industry. I'll see you on next week's episode. Thanks again.